What's up? It's Tom. Thanks for being here. Despite the gloomy topic at hand today, unfortunately, in case you missed it, Royce Lewis exited today's Twins game Sunday with a hamstring injury. Let's take a look. This was the our inaugural broadcast of Twins TV. So I think we might be able to add Twins TV to the list of cursed items in Twins lore. We'll see. This was not a good omen on the first time out. But here is from today's broadcast. Royce Lewis, hits one over to Alex Bregman over there at third base. Comes up lame, and you can tell he immediately knows this is something. And he winces on the way, a handful of steps in. He holds his back left hamstring, which, to my knowledge, I don't think that's an injury he has had before, but, add it to the laundry list at this point. I suppose it is a very positive sign. As you see there, he did walk off the field under his own power. I'm not sure if that's something to read too much into, but I think, it certainly looks a lot better than if he had to get carried off the field by, some of the training staff. So what now? Well, we don't really know for sure right now. There's going to be an MRI done to determine the severity of that injury. If it's a grade 3, which I'm guessing it's not, I think that's the least likely possible. I should be clear. I'm completely speculating here. I'm not some kind of a hamstring strain expert or anything, but I would be surprised if this is a complete tear, but if that's the case, his season is in jeopardy, basically. He's going to have surgery. He would miss several months. Again, I don't think that's very likely. I think it's much more likely this is either a grade 2 or a grade 1 strain. A grade 2 strain, you don't need surgery, but you're probably going to miss a couple months. It's going to be several weeks that you're out. Probably like 2 months is what you would anticipate a guy missing with a grade 2 hamstring strain. And we know the Twins probably will be a little bit more careful with Royce Lewis than your average player, given his injury history. I think there's probably a decent chance this might be it, but it could be only a grade 1. It could be only a grade 1 strain. Mild strain, those can be, there's a wide range on those. It can be a couple days to just a few weeks. We're crossing our fingers that's what the case is going to be. So basically, we don't know. It could be most of the season. It could be a couple months. It could be the minimum stay on the injured list. We'll have to wait to hear. It certainly didn't look good, but again, it's him walking off. That's an encouraging sign, if nothing else. Basically boil it all down. Royce Lewis is going on the injured list. I don't see any, even if it's a mild, grade 1 strain. The Twins are going to be extra careful with this guy. I think I'm not expecting him to be in the opening day lineup. Again, this is total speculation. I just don't see anywhere on the spectrum of the severity of this injury in which we don't see Royce Lewis on the injured list come opening day. Now, does that mean he's out a couple weeks, a couple months? That's what we're going to find out soon here. But I think we can pretty safely assume that we are not going to see Royce Lewis open up with the Twins. But silver lining, we've been here many, many times before. This ain't our first rodeo. Royce Lewis has missed an unbelievable amount of time in his first couple seasons as a big leaguer. Royce had the quotes about being one of the cheap guys. Well, if Royce wants to get into that big money, he's got to stay on the field. Royce Lewis, if you want to be in that upper echelon of MLB salaries, you ain't going to do it spending, 100 games on the injured list every year. Anyway, where are we at here? I think it's obvious this injury, its potential impact, and obviously how long he'll be out for, we'll see. But losing Royce Lewis, honestly, to me, this more hinders the Twins' real upside. They have some pretty exciting upside if you can envision a healthy Royce Lewis out there, doing the things that we know he can do. But this guy didn't play that well last year. Just breaking it down and being honest, Royce Lewis didn't have that good of a year last year when he was out there. He had a terrible finish to the season. But if we just take his season as a whole and how he performed, wasn't good. So how crushing of a blow is it to lose Royce Lewis? I mean, is it that difficult to envision As I have here, Willie Castro, I've put in that maybe that's the go-to defensive lineman. Maybe Miranda's playing third mostly. Maybe Brooks Lee is even playing a bunch of third. But is it impossible to envision that the Twins don't miss that many steps, that they don't lose that many games without Royce Lewis when you have Willie Castro, when you have Jose Miranda, when you have Brooks Lee to potentially put into that third base picture? I mean, this is maybe a cope. You guys can let me know and tell me if I'm coping and sort of downplaying this injury. But I said this in my kind of AL Central previews. I do think the Twins are pretty disaster proof in that if you take any one player off their team, I feel like this team is really well suited to replace that guy because they have a lot of depth. So essentially what I'm projecting out here is that if Royce Lewis is on the injured list, basically we're going to see Mickey Gasper make the team with Edouard Julien. Basically all the infielders on the 40-man roster are going to make it. Maybe that spot, I think the other guys who were in competition for that would have been like if they want an outfielder, Sean Kersey Jr., or if they want someone who can play infield, Austin Martin would be there, but they seem to be really moving away from him as a second baseman and really focusing on him as an outfielder. So that's kind of where I'm going with this projected bench. With both Edouard Julien and Mickey Gasper in that picture there, who could factor into the infield. So, we know how the Twins operate. This is how a lot of teams operate in 2024, 2025. There's not really a set lineup. There's not really a set defensive alignment. In this scenario, maybe Edouard Julien plays a good amount at second base. Brooks Lee plays third. Maybe Willie Castro's playing left field and Larnach's DHing some. Or Miranda's going to play some third, and Willie Castro will play second some days. It's not a set thing, but it's really encouraging that Brooks Lee's having a good spring. It's really encouraging that Jose Miranda's had a good spring. Not that you want to read too much into spring training. Mickey Gasper's had a good spring. Edouard Julien's had a good spring. Again, take that all with a grain of salt. Sometimes that doesn't mean anything, but you'd rather have a guy have a good spring than not. So, yes, Royce Lewis, when he's on, we know how special he is and what he can do. And he is a guy who seems to live up to big moments, which is special. It's the Twins are worse without Royce Lewis. I'm not trying to take things that far. But honestly, how much worse? I could see them not missing much of a beat without Royce Lewis, to be completely honest. And again, they've played without him a ton. They were actually worse with Royce Lewis than not with Royce Lewis last year. Now, a lot of that is just boils down to when he happened to be healthy, which a lot of it was at the end of the year when everybody was terrible. And it wasn't Royce Lewis's fault that everybody was terrible in September, of course. So, you can only put so much stock into those. But again, point stands that, they've played a lot without Royce Lewis. They've built this roster to be prepared to play without Royce Lewis. And yeah, backup options of being Willie Castro, Jose Miranda, and Brooks Lee, that's not a bad situation. I mean, Jose Miranda was better than Royce Lewis last year. So, and he had a terrible finish to the season. That's not the only injury that we saw this weekend. I was hoping this video was going to be a bunch of Twins spring highlights, but instead we're just going to talk about injuries. You got to laugh just to keep from crying. This one's not as scary, though, but in the moment it was. Brock Stewart throws a pitch here, and then Jeffers comes out and talks to him, and he exits this game. In the moment, we didn't have any information, and it wasn't like the Royce Lewis injury where you could see like, he's grasping his hamstring. Pretty easy to guess what that one was. No clue on this one, but luckily it is not an arm injury for Brock Stewart. It is a knee injury. Pitchers can still have pretty scary lower body injuries. They obviously use their legs a ton when they pitch, so it's not like this is completely not anything to stress out about, but it's so much less scary than if it would have been his shoulder or something. I'm still projecting Brock Stewart to be in the opening day bullpen. That's how not concerned I am with this so far. Again, that is also complete speculation, and we don't have the complete picture on what that was. This happened on Saturday evening, so this is still pretty fresh too with Brock Stewart. And he's another guy who's been injured quite a bit, and the Twins have a lot of incentive to be careful with him. But since it's a leg injury, I think it's completely different than if it would have been an arm injury, and they're going to approach it probably much differently as well. I still think he's going to be in the opening day bullpen. But if he doesn't, We can probably take him out and put Cody Funderburk in there. As things stand, Michael Tonkin and Justin Topa are expected to open the season on the injured list. So that gives us this possible opening day bullpen of Duran, Jack, Sand Stewarts, Coulomb, Alcala, Varland, and Castellano I'm putting in there right now. He's made 5 appearances. This is the guy the Twins got in the Rule 5 draft, who they have to either keep on the active roster or return him to the Phillies. He's made 5 appearances this spring. The first one was great. The most recent one was great. I don't want to talk about the middle 3. He's when he's been in attack mode and throwing strikes, he's looked really, really good. And those 3 middle outings, he's not been able to find the zone, and it's been really rough. So it's a mixed bag. He would be the bottom man in the bullpen anyway, so I'm kind of leaning toward why not take him in? You're never going to be throwing him in high leverage. So why not carry him as long as you can? And if it gets to the point where it's just clear this guy can't be of any purpose to you, go ahead, send him down, have him go back to Philly. But I still think opening the year with him and seeing if it can stick is the right move, especially since some of these injuries have opened up the door for that. The good sign is there's no questions with the rotation. The rotation is in great shape. Pablo, Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, Chris Paddock, Simeon Woods-Richardson, David Festa, and Zebby Matthews are both healthy as well. So the rotation picture is looking gorgeous. So we don't even really have to dig into that. But that's kind of the big injury news from this weekend. Again, the Twins TV thing started today. Everybody could watch it. You don't have to be subscribed yet. I'm not sure how long that's going to last for. I don't know if that was just sort of a one-day thing or if that's going to go through spring, but looked good. They did a good job. We'll see how cursed it is, though. It's not a good sign that Royce Lewis goes down in there while they're interviewing Rocco Baldelli. Royce Lewis goes down. Again, you got to laugh. You just got to laugh. At a certain point, it gets comical with this stuff. What do you think? Let me know what you think. Am I crazy for kind of taking this stance? Am I just delusional? Am I out of my mind to think that it's not that big of a deal if the Twins are without Royce Lewis I guess I was already accounting for Royce Lewis not playing 150 games anyway. Maybe that's part of it too. Thanks for checking this out. I appreciate you. We'll talk again soon.